Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Sober Spartan podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Nichols, and in this episode, I'm going to be talking about what life was like while I was drinking compared to what life is like now. Because I think having that conversation will help people kind of think through if they're kind of struggling with staying sober, or they're not even too sure like what to do, anything like this, or they don't know what's possible, anything like that. And not to say that I'm living a perfect life by any stretch of the imagination. I think as humans we're not perfect, so and I think that like if you're optimizing for the perfect life, then you're optimizing for the wrong thing because everyone who's been living life knows how life is. Like things come out of nowhere, and like you're hit off guard sometimes, and nothing goes exactly according to plan. So, anyways, so jumping right in, like back to a little bit about my life when I was still drinking. So basically, my weekdays would just be thinking about the weekend, like all the fun I'm gonna have, all the people I'm gonna go hang out with, the parties, all this kind of stuff. Um, but like I found that living that way, I wasn't able to live present. I was always like waiting for the next weekend, right? The next party. So when I look back now, I wasn't having like living my life in the way I should have been living it in the moment back then. And then compared to now, I live it in quite a different way, and I have a different mindset about it. But I'd be thinking for the weekend all the time. Like even on Fridays, I'd make sure to have beer ready. So right after work, I'd go home and then I'd have beer at the ready. I'd have a bottle, and then right away I'd be on my phone, just kind of calling around, trying to figure out what's going on. Like who am I going to go hang out with so I can go out and get drunk. Um, and I mean, if you're an alcoholic and drinking's a problem, you'll know exactly what I mean there. So if I couldn't even find anyone to drink with me, I would just continue drinking by myself. And then it got to a point, especially towards the end there, that I'd be drinking by myself, and then I'd have a couple beers deep, and then I'd be like, okay, well, I'm gonna need a little bit of cocaine now. So I'd go out and I'd get some cocaine. I'd do it by myself, and I'd stay up all night just by myself. And I'm like, thinking back, I'm like, I just I just think like I was such a loser back then, but it's like I was just dealing with some shit, and it just kind of happened that way. But I think a lot of people are struggling with that too, because like when it gets to be an issue, um you just kind of do stuff like that. You go and drink on your own, you start doing drugs on your own, stuff like that. And for me, like just looking back, that's like where it got really, really bad. And then I would spend like hundreds of dollars on booze, drugs, all that kind of thing. I'd buy dumb shit, um, that kind of thing. Like I'd even go and I'd eat terribly. Like I'd be out drinking and stuff like that. And then the only places that were open were like corner stores like 7-Eleven. So I would go there and just eat all the shitty food there. And like I even remember um one time I woke up in the morning after a night of drinking, and obviously I hit 7-Eleven. Like I just had to, and I bought so much shit. um I ended up waking up and there was so much like leftover stuff that I had to throw away, because obviously with that 7-Eleven stuff, it doesn't keep very long, and you throw in the garbage. So I had the taquitos, I had the candy, I had the nachos with that shitty cheese sauce and the chili sauce, which was all soggy in the morning. It was absolutely disgusting. And it's funny too, because like I ended up losing my phone that night, and I had no clue where it was. And then I ended up finding it the next day when I was rummaging around in the freezer to pull out some food. And my phone was in the freezer, and I don't even remember putting it there, because like that's how most weekends were for me. I'd just get like blackout drunk, not know what I was doing, and then like I would always be scared the next day to wake up to like texts or stuff like that of like the dumb shit that I did that I didn't remember doing, the stupid things I said to people that I cared about, to friends, family, stuff like that, or like doing dumb shit so the cops got involved, um, all that kind of thing. Because it's like it got to a point, especially towards the end, and I don't know if this is where you are in your drinking career, but you'd wake up and you'd be like just you'd figure out that like, oh, okay, now I have to apologize for something, right? And then it just was a common trend. It just keep happening and happening and happening, right? Um, and another thing that I noticed when I was still drinking and stuff like this, weekends were not very productive at all because then I'd be so hungover. I'd be out all night drinking till 3, 4 a.m. sometimes. I'd come back and then I would just be so hungover, I'd be sleeping till the afternoon. So most of the day's gone there, just pissing it away. And then I just wouldn't get anything done because then I'd get up and I'd be like, oh, so hungover, like biggest headache. I could barely even fucking move. And then nothing would get done, right? So like it just at the end it just started getting sickening and I was starting to get depressed. Um, all that kind of stuff. Like my body just felt like shit. Like I would even so many times, and again, like a lot of the stuff that led up to me getting sober was like me getting like really badly injured. Like I got an AC joint separation in my shoulder because I was at a buddy's house and we were drinking, and it was like 2 a.m, something like that, and we decided it'd be a good idea to go get some cocaine. And so I was shit faced, wasted, hammered drunk. And of course, I volunteered to ride the bike to go meet the dealer to get the drugs, right? And so the bike that we had, there was no brakes on it. And what he told me that he did is he stuck his foot sideways in the front of the wheel to slow the bike down. Um, what could go wrong, right? And so that's what I was doing to slow the bike down. Like I was going really fast. I was listening to some Metallica, just fucking giving her, and everything was fine. Like I got the drugs, good for me. And then I got back and I was going super fast, just listening to fucking Metallica. And then I missed the house, and I was like, oh shit. So my like just instinct, I put my foot to slow down, but I was going really fast, and then my foot turned and went into the wheel, and then I just flipped over on the bike, landed right on my shoulder. I still got a bump there, and I was just so fucked. And then they were in the garage, and then they heard me like screaming like, "Get the fuck out here!" So I literally bailed right in front of the house, and so um they ended up coming out, and my shoulder was completely fucked. Like I didn't really feel it. Did some drugs, stuff like that, so like it was hurting, but I didn't notice till the next day when I got up. I couldn't even get my shirt off. And then when I did, it took forever. And then in the morning, I was like, okay, I need to go see a doctor. So I went to the emergency because I knew my arm was like completely messed up. So I couldn't even get my arm in my sleeve, my shirt. So I was just walking with like my arm inside the sleeve, and then I got a X-ray, and yeah, they said I got a AC joint separation in my shoulder. So I ended up having to wear like a cast to like hold my arm like this. Um, but yeah, it's just dumb shit like that. I fucked myself right up, and then it was just a common trend. But let's go over to my weekends, what they look like now. Now that I've been sober for over a decade. And they never always used to look like this. Like it took me quite a while learning different things and like building an understanding of how important building habits and routines and rituals and stuff like that. And you'll hear me talk about that all the time because it's probably one of the most important things, not only to live a good life, but to help yourself get sober is building these habits and routines. Because if you know anything about the brain, it's a really lazy organ, right? So it wants because it takes up so much energy. Because think about what your brain does; it functions all the stuff that you're not even aware of in your body, like your digestion, fighting off viruses, all that kind of stuff, right? And so it takes a lot of calories to run it. And so what it wants to do is it wants to find the easiest way to get stuff done, and that's what habits are. It's stuff that's ingrained that your brain can just do second nature. Because like even if you look back for different things that you've done, like when you first started driving, if you can remember back to when you first started driving, you couldn't just be playing with the music and rolling up and down the windows and talking on the phone and doing all this stuff at the same time, which I probably wouldn't do all that shit anyways. But you couldn't do that. It would like I remember when I first started driving stuff, I would get like all anxious and like could barely even like do anything. But now it's like I can fiddle fuck with the music all I want while I'm driving, and it's like second nature because those are habits that you build within yourself. So it's the same kind of thing with when you're getting sober because you're in the bad habits that you kind of accumulated while you were drinking, and then you have to build new habits and stuff like this to kind of reduce the friction being able to go forward, because like getting sober is hard enough as it is. So if you're not building these habits to be able like and ingraining things in yourself to be able to easily or more easily complete different things that you need to get done, then it's just you're just fighting an uphill battle, right? So it's just stuff like that that puts you in the best possible situation to make it easier on yourself. So then when you do go down this journey, down this path and get on the journey, then it's just a little bit more easier for you. So so basically a weekend for me, like even right now it's Sunday and I've already got a shitload done, stuff like that. Usually I'll go to bed pretty early. So on weekdays it's between 8 and 9. Same thing on weekends. The odd time on the weekend I'll stay up a little bit later. But very rarely. I like to go to bed early because I like to wake up early. So on the weekends I'll wake up at 5, but usually my body wakes me up earlier than that because I'm used to getting up around 4 or so, just after 4 on weekdays. But I like to give myself that little extra time on the weekend to sleep in if my body needs it. So I wake up really early, and then that just helps me like get into that routine, because then you're setting your circadian rhythm with that routine of going to bed and waking up. Again, it's just reducing friction. It's putting in some routine in your life, that kind of thing. So I always make sure to get in my exercise every day, and especially on weekends. So before I didn't really do that because again I'd be so hungover I wouldn't want to do fuck all, right? So I wouldn't be doing things I need to do, like moving my body, whatever I wanted to do for that, like whether it's going to the gym or going for a run or whatever, right? And then now I have like a proper morning routine. So like I get up out of bed right away. I don't just sit there and contemplate it. I get up and start my day. I take my dog for a walk instantly, and then I come back. I usually get my workout in and then shower, all that kind of stuff. And then I get my coffee going, and then I can start the morning and get my daily reading in, that kind of thing. I'm reading a book about stoicism, and this is just my daily reader. It takes like a few minutes a day to soak up some stoic wisdom from ancient stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius. He was the emperor of Rome for a time, and a lot of their teachings and writings have been used for a long period of time, and it's like super evergreen, everything they teach about living a better life and like adopting better ways of thinking. And I think that stoicism, for especially when you want to get sober and having these different mindsets ingrained in you from going and doing a stoic practice, I think is like super important. So if you don't know what stoicism is, go check it out. And I would look into a guy called Ryan Holiday and get his book, The Daily Stoic. And then you can have a different Stoic quote each day. And then he kind of talks a little bit about what that quote means. And then I think that would be super good to get into your life if you're going down the journey of sobriety. So Ryan Holiday's good. He talks a lot about stoicism. He's kind of one of the first people I got into. I started listening to for that type of thing. So I get my reading in. I'm always learning something. Like I just want to be the next best version of myself. So I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly reading, stuff like this. And this might not appeal to you. Like, just remember, like, we're all different. So we'll all be interested in different things. But I think the point of what I'm saying here is you'll be able to find different things that resonate with you and get different habits and stuff like that, instead of being hungover all day and that kind of thing, right? You'll have more time to put into stuff that you want to do, like different hobbies, stuff like that. Maybe you want to pick up a guitar, start learning that, learn another language, that kind of thing. Because in the season of my life right now, I'm super into the things that I'm doing. So I just want to make myself the best that I can be, so I can help the most amount of people. So like the stuff that interests me is like different stuff in business, sales, marketing, all that kind of stuff. Human behavior, psychology. I'm just super into that. So it's like I spend my weekends learning that type of stuff because it interests me. It like gives me a reason to get up each morning, and then I like to take care of my body. I like to make sure I'm eating a proper diet. I like to make sure I get my exercise, stuff like that. And it's like after I stopped drinking in the beginning, because I still had those bad habits, it was just a process um, that kind of I went through to be able to pick up these better habits and like kind of learn more about sleep and like routines and stuff like this. So I think I've got a routine in place that kind of helps me get done what I need to get done during a day. And and I just don't feel like a bag of shit, like from like I was saying before, eating all that processed garbage food, that kind of thing. I'm eating a lot better diet, and I used to have super bad fucking heartburn. I don't know if you experience heartburn, but it was like I couldn't even breathe, and going to bed was absolute nightmare. Like um I had to be like sitting up and stuff, or I'd be like puking up fucking stomach bile and shit. But now, since I've got a better hold of my diet and stuff like that, that heartburn's kind of gone away. Um, but yeah, basically, I don't know if any of this resonated with you, anything like that. But I'm always open to have a conversation. Like if you're not too sure where to start with sobriety, if you're not sure if you even have a problem, anything like that. Like I had a chat with a guy I know not too long ago, and he was kind of going through some shit, and I was like, yeah, let's jump on a call. Like, absolutely. So I ended up jumping on a call with him. He'd kind of like tell me what kind of shit was going on. I gave him a little bit of advice and stuff. He just had some trouble with booze, and some of the stuff that I told him, he actually knew and used some of these tools before, but he just kind of forgot about them, and he needed that reminder, right? And that's kind of like why I like to talk about certain things over and over and over again, because it's not just sharing that information with other people, but it's a reminder for myself what works for me, so I can stay sober and be the best person I can be, right? So, yeah, no, if you like this, share it with someone who might need it too, and I'll have all my contact details in the show notes here. So, if you want to ask me any questions, anything like that, um, definitely don't feel like you can't reach out. I'll have that information there. So that's this episode, and we will see you on the next one.